Okay, so there are some indicators that we're in a new age. I mean, there's a whole new age community, which is not a community in that there's a great diversity of peoples and beliefs and practices and workshops and loads of books and different ideas, and the people within this broadly named New Age community, some of them may not even recognize that as such, that may be something that may be described and attributed to them by someone else. But, okay, so that's established that this is a vague, amorphous, not organized. I mean, within the New Age community, there are organizations, but this is the opposite of some monolithic religious institution. The opposite is incredibly diverse. And in fact, the people who could be said to be participating in the New Age movement, they themselves may have experienced a wide diversity of spiritual and religious beliefs and practices and workshops. It's very individual centered for a lot of people. I mean, that is after they've been burned by belonging to some sort of cult or something. That's often been the experience for some. Sometimes they've been through a few different groups that could have some cult-like attributes. Of course, cult is a pejorative word, and we could use it in a neutral sense. But I'm not going to digress about that right now. What I want to say is that because we live in such this great diversity of spiritual and religious awareness, both throughout society and for many people within the individual. As a creature of modern society, many individuals have no set belief system, have no set of understandings that are specific. I mean, if you read a book, that doesn't necessarily mean you believe it, right? So, if a person reads a lot of different books on an area of interest, that person may not have that much specific set understandings. Because, when push comes to shove, it's our intuition, our experience, our gut feelings, so to speak. It's our feelings, it's our emotions that count. It's the attitudes that are often unconscious. That's what is experientially real to a person. Okay? So the focus on what in Christian circles would be called theology, because in the New Age movement, you're not going to. There's not necessarily a theo. It's not necessarily a God that you have a complex set of understandings of. It's much more amorphous. But one thing I want to say that I think is so, for me it's crucial, and I think it's crucial in the development of culture henceforth. And that is the divine feminine. The divine, holy, that can be intuited, that can be experienced as mother. Because, as everyone knows, most religions, especially in Western civilization, have been monotheistic, and God, the one God, is thought of and understood as male, as Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I'm not arguing against God as Father either. I mean, I think all religion and spiritual language has to be analogous to what we know every day, because it's whatever that reality is, we cannot measure it. We cannot therefore agree on what it is. It's experiential amongst the diversity of human souls, some of who gather around, in a congregation and speak a similar language, at least for the hour that they're together. What they feel or think, if they do spend time thinking about it, in the privacy of their own home, may be different. I mean, some people go to church and synagogue, and they don't believe. They don't really believe in God as a supernatural entity. But the social and institutional and cultural and even ethical aspects of religion are very dear to them. Especially community, because unfortunately, or this is just the way it is, often people can't find a supportive group of people without a church or religious community. But for those who are not, who either belong to a church but don't limit their thinking and their sensibility to that church's theology, or it's people who are unchurched, they can be open to spirit, to God. I mean, the trouble is the word God has been owned by the cultural traditions of Western civilization that go back for thousands of years. And we can't get around that word very easily without associating it with the way it's been taught. As God as masculine, God, as one person being Father. I mean, this is horrifying in a way if you have any sense that excludes women from the analogy of being God, from the analogy. So if God, see, the trouble is that God is anthropomorphic. We think of the creator of the universe as a human being, as an exalted human being, and that gets us into a lot of trouble. Now, there is a good reason that is so, because actually, experientially, a human being is perhaps the most powerful experience A human being is the most powerful experiential phenomenon that another human being can have. And the fact that people experience this very powerful emotion of love for other human beings, you know, in various relationships, you know, parent-child, child-to-parent, person, husband-to-wife, wife-to-husband, homosexual relationships, sometimes student to teacher, sometimes congregant to pastor. This experience of love can be overwhelming at times. For most people, it's a little bit more subdued just to keep themselves from what? From going crazy. Because at least romantic love has been allowed, forgive me, but forget that. Romantic love is an example in which the intensity of the experience is not too infrequently experienced as crazy. So the dramas and the portrayals in entertainment and in literature of romantic love often describe that process, you know, as merging in with insanity at its most intense. But I just want to make the point that because we have the experience of love, some of us sometimes in great intensity, in regard to other human beings, that's why we anthropomorphize the deity. Because that's the intensity of experience. The love of God is a human-like experience, and therefore what we love is human-like. You know, except for some people, we don't love objects as intensely as we do another human being. So the trouble is that when people in a philosophical frame of mind want to say, no, God has to be more than a human being, you know, God is so infinite that unfortunately often experientially reduces it to an abstraction, to a word, and then it loses its emotional power. Okay? So I'm going to end this little talk right now by coming back to the first, which is that the awakening of the experience of the divine creator of all reality as mother, perhaps even more so than father, or at least as well as father, that's a new experiential revelation, not just for me, poor old vagabond, but I believe for many people more and more so in the coming generations. So I believe that's the vanguard and perhaps an explanation as to why there has been such great disillusionment with traditional religion, because I believe the divine spirit is trying, this is pure speculation, forgive me, is trying to reawaken humanity's experience of God as divine mother.